Adam here with the Walzer Automotive Group. What I want to do today is compare a couple of mid-size SUVs. So on the one side, I have the Nissan Rogue, and on my other side, I have the Honda CR-V. So we'll look at the interiors, the exteriors, and see which one might just be perfect for you. Let's begin by looking at the 2024 Nissan Rogue. Now, the one I have here today is going to be the SV model. So there's a few different trim levels when looking at the Rogue, but for comparing this with the Honda EXL, it seemed to make the most sense. Now, the Nissan Rogue is going to be powered by a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. So what that means is great fuel economy. Now, this is the all-wheel drive model, and there is going to be a standard front-wheel drive version, but this one is still going to get you 35 miles per gallon on the highway, and it's still going to give you just over 200 horsepower, so it is a fun little vehicle to drive. Now from there, this one is going to ride on the 18-inch wheels, and there is a lot of different wheel options when looking at the Nissan Rogue. Now the big difference for the 24 versus the 23 model is this one did get a little bit of a refresh. So up front, you're going to notice that completely different grille design. They did update the rear bumper a little bit. As well, this one is the SV Premium package, so you are going to get a little bit different equipment when comparing it with just the standard model. Now this SV Premium does get the roof rack rails up above, like I said, these cool 18-inch wheels, but most of the other stuff that's going to be changed is on the inside. Now one big thing is this one gets the power rear liftgate, so when you open that up, you do get a lot of cargo space. Now it's also going to give you 60/40 split rear seats, so what that means, if you're hauling any larger objects, you can simply kick those seats down, and it's really easy to just throw stuff in and haul, and then when you're done, you can either click the key fob remote or press the button, and that power liftgate will come back down. Plus, this one will get the LED headlights up front, as well as a host of safety features. But we'll save that for the inside, and let's hop over to the Honda CR-V and check that one out. Now, jumping over to the other side, this is the 2025 Honda CR-V EXL. So again, lots of trim levels when looking at the CR-V, but I think this is a good comparison with the Nissan Rogue SV. From there, this is going to have a 1.5-liter, but rather than a 3-cylinder, this is going to be a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, but both models are going to be paired with a CVT transmission. So it's kind of like one continuous automatic. Sometimes it's not a crowd favorite, but it does feel really smooth out on the road, and it does help you get that power down. Now, this is going to give you about 190 horsepower, and from there you're going to be looking at about 31 mpg on the highway. So this one also will come standard in front wheel drive, but this one is the optional all-wheel drive system, which is going to be great for those Minnesota winters. This one will also ride on an 18-inch wheel, and I love that really bright silver with this blue metallic color. It does look really good when paired together. Now from there up front, you are going to see some similarities with the Nissan Rogue, as this does have the LED daytime running lights, a nice LED headlight. As well, this one will have parking sensors up front compared to where that premium model SV would not have that, only on the rear. So this one, very similar to the Nissan Rogue, will also get that power liftgate. So a simple click of the button on the remote, or walking up back and clicking the little button back there. 60/40 split rear seats, and this one does seem to have a little bit deeper of a cargo area, but to me, very similar in size between the two, and those 60/40 split rear seats do obviously help you out in a pinch. So from there, this one doesn't get the roof rack rails up above, but there is a few different trim levels in the CR-V. There's the Sport model, which is going to be more the hybrid-based model, but this one for the regular 4-cylinder engine, still in the all-wheel drive at 31 mpg, it's going to be pretty good. And again, this one also has a host of Honda sensing safety features inside, but before we dive into this one, let's jump back over to the Nissan Rogue. We'll check out that interior. Okay, so now in the premium package SV, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So let's start with the seats, because to me, Nissan always has some of the most comfortable seats in the game, and I think these are no different. Now this is called PrimaTech, so when you add to the premium package, you're going to get these leatherette seats. They're going to be heated for the driver and the passenger, plus you also add one of my favorite features, which is going to be that heated steering wheel. So when the wintertime comes around, your hands are nice and toasty, your buns are nice and toasty when you're on the go, and this one also will have a remote start on the key fob. So you can fire it up, it will remember those heated seats, and it's really nice when it gets really cold out. Now the infotainment screen is going to be different depending on which trim level that you are looking at. Now for this model, this is going to be the smaller infotainment screen. As you work up the trim levels, you can go to the new 12.3-inch Google Assistant or Google-based system. It's really cool in here. This one does have a wired Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. It's just going to be kind of your standard infotainment screen, and then when you pop it into reverse, you're going to get the backup camera that, like I said, does have the rear parking sensors, which can help you out in a pinch. Now from there, on our steering wheel, we've got all of our good stuff on here. So it's a digital gauge cluster in here. So basically you can go through kind of left or right. You can get kind of your standard trip computer stuff, your audio stuff, and then some of your safety settings built in. So with this Pro Pilot Assist button here, you can click that. That's going to give you forward collision, blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning, so much safety built in. But then one of my favorite things is the adaptive cruise control. So this little button just below it, it's going to be 3, 2, 1 car length distances ahead of you, and it's going to keep that distance when you're on the road. So if you're eating up a lot of highway miles with the blind spot monitoring, the emergency braking, there's a lot of good stuff in here that's going to help you and your family stay safe. Now, speaking of family, what about the second row? There's actually quite a bit of room back there. You're going to have USB-C charging, and then the premium package will add those little sunshades in the back for the kiddos. Plus, the rear seats can recline a little bit, and I found it to be pretty comfortable back there. And then this one does also get the panoramic sunroof up above. So with the large sunroof opened up, it definitely opens up the cabin, especially with the darker interior. So I feel like everyone's going to be comfortable, their devices are going to be charged up, and you're also going to have USB-C charging up here for the driver and the passenger. So one other thing I have to touch on is the 90-degree door opening in the second row. It sounds kind of weird, but the doors actually open almost to a perfect 90 degrees in not only the Nissan Rogue, but also the Honda CR-V, and that's a feature I really think is important. Maybe you're loading up the kids or you need a little extra space. That is a pretty cool feature. Now this one's also got a dual climate control and this cool little system for putting it into driver reverse here, which does free up space underneath. So you can keep maybe your purse or some things you want to keep out of sight. It's always nice to have a little bit of extra storage when you're in the vehicle. So by switching to the shift-by-wire system, it frees up that space and it is pretty cool. So overall, lots of safety, really comfortable seats in here, and again, the great 35 mpgs through the all-wheel drive system. Plus, you've also got some drive modes you can select to have a little bit of fun or be a little bit safer when you're on the go. So there's lots of good stuff in the Nissan Rogue. But let's hop over, we'll check out the CR-V interior. All right, so in the CR-V, I'm holding my phone because this model does give you wireless charging in the EXL, and I've got wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto in here. So when I jumped in, my phone was already paired up, Google Maps, Spotify, all that good stuff built right into the infotainment screen, and it makes it pretty easy and safe when you're on the go. Now this EXL will also have kind of a leatherette seat, and it's going to be heated for the driver and the passenger, but we are missing the heated steering wheel on this particular model. So now the EXL and the all-wheel drive with all of the safety stuff built in is going to be very similar to the Nissan Rogue. You're going to have things like that adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, emergency braking, but this one also adds the parking sonar or those detectors up front as well as out back. And the camera, you can kind of look a few different ways in the reverse camera, or to look straight down or behind you. It's a pretty cool system there. Now this one up above, we just have our standard sunroof versus the panoramic sunroof in here, but I like the digital gauge cluster that this EXL offers. You can click the home button, go through, kind of see all your speed and time, audio, phone, your navigation stuff, some of the all-wheel drive torque distribution if you want to see that. So there's lots of cool stuff in there. And then again, just some of your safety features. If you don't want them or don't need to keep them on, you can go through there and turn them off in the system. Now this one will also get the dual climate control as well as your leather wrap steering wheel here, which is really nice, and all of your stuff is on the steering wheel to make it easy and safe when you're on the go. So like I said, with the Apple CarPlay, you've also got voice control on the steering wheel. So you can click it and you can actually ask the car to do things for you, whether it's changing the radio station or making calls. It's a pretty cool system. So we've got a standard USB-C as well as a regular USB in here, and then 2 USB-C chargers with vents in the second row. So like I said, for the family, how's the space in the back? If you're not hauling people, those seats did fold down like I mentioned, but in the rear seats, both of these, I had headroom and legroom. So I'm 6'1", so where I was driving comfortably, you're actually gonna have knee room and headspace in the back. You could easily put 4 adults in here and go for a road trip, have your adaptive cruise control going, got the tunes on the radio with your wireless CarPlay going. There's lots of good stuff and comfort in the CR-V. To me, it kind of feels like an old boot, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, I get in the car, I know how to change the air, I know how to turn the radio on or off. They still left a volume knob up here. There's a remote start on the key fob. Everything works like a Honda should and what you'd expect out of it. So that's a pretty good way of looking at the CR-V. It really does everything you need it to do. Great power, great fuel economy, lots of safety. That's kind of what we've come to expect out of these Honda and Nissan models. Now, just a few other little things. This one does get a drive mode select similar to the Rogue, but I mean, overall, they're very similar. There's a lot of similar equipment between the two, whether it's the safety, some of the technology stuff, some of the interior feel can be a little bit different depending on the trim level or packages you're looking at, but there also is a CR-V hybrid, where the Nissan Rogue doesn't currently offer a hybrid model, so if you're looking for even better fuel economy, that's certainly an option as well. But let's talk about the price. So, with the SV Premium package, you're looking at about $36,800 for that model, whereas you jump to this one, you're jumping up a little bit over $38,000. Now, the average price in the US for a vehicle right now is just about $48,000. So these both fall well under that mark, but you're getting a lot of equipment. Like I said, whether it's the safety, the technology, the styling on the outside, there's so many similarities between the two. I think you really owe it to yourself to get out, drive each one back to back, see what you think, see how the seat fits, how the rear cargo hatch fits you better to kind of load stuff up. Just overall, getting in the vehicles and getting a good feel for them, I think there's not really a bad choice here, and definitely two vehicles to get out, take for a spin, and see what you think. So that was just a quick look at the Nissan Rogue and the Honda CR-V. Now, if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive for yourself, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help you out. Thanks for watching.